Hello and welcome to the Hard Card Podcast, usually recorded and filmed at Authentic Collectibles HQ in Perth, Western Australia. But as you can probably see, I'm on location this week. And by location, I mean Easter holidays a few hours south of Perth. Anyway, our fourth episode, we are joined by one of the most recognizable motorsport personalities on the planet right now, the star of the Netflix F1 generation, Gunther Steiner. Gunther, I know it's been a big week, so thanks for taking the time to chat. How was the Australian GP week for you? I mean, it looked pretty exhausting, to be honest.
Yeah, you're perfectly right with that. No, I always enjoyed to go to Australia, and I went first to the Adelaide Motorsport Festival, which was amazing. You know, they are doing a very good job there, and I really enjoyed to have my wife with me, and it was a very good time. And obviously, we went a little bit of wine tasting as well on Monday, so a little bit of fun as well. But the Australia GP was, it was demanding, but I really enjoyed to work with the guys from Network 10 there. Nice people, had good fun. Being on TV with Damon Hill, a world champion, is always an honor, for me. But all the other people, they were just great. So really enjoyed lots of work, but I'm not shy. I'm not shying away from work. When you enjoy to do something, it's not actually work; it's also enjoyment.
How are you enjoying this sort of post-team boss life? I mean, you've written a book, there's been the TV work, there was speaking functions in Australia, there's the ambassadorships with Miami and all that sort of stuff. Like, how does the next phase look for you career-wise? Where would you like to see your career head from here?
If I just would know. That is one of the things, not no, in the moment. Let's go to the moment. All these things came up, and I actually there is more on the table than I actually can do, and I'm in a very fortunate position that I do things which I believe in and I like to do, and with people I like to work with. I don't have to do something which is just like to have work. So I'm very fortunate, and I really appreciate and recognize that. But about the future, I don't know. In the moment, my future, the short term, I do this one as long as I enjoy it. In the moment, I'm enjoying it. And mid to long term, I think there is a few talks going on, but it needs to be a project I believe in and gives me what I want to do to have success in racing, just to do a job, to be again just fighting for survival every year. I've done that. I think I got a few T-shirts from it, and I don't want to do that. If there's an interesting project which I believe in, like everything I do, I'm going to do it. But in the moment, it isn't there. So I do what I'm doing right now, speaking with you.
So yeah, look, I want to just backtrack a little bit. How does someone go from, Murano in the mountains of Sud Tirol to the biggest stage in world motorsport? How did you get to where you got to?
Again, it's one of these questions. Is I think the base of all is my passion for racing cars, for motorsport. I think it was like, as you say, it's very unusual career for somebody coming from where I come from. And not normally I should be into skiing or playing ice hockey or something like this, but I went into motorsport. So it's just like one job after the other, and I always liked what I was doing. And obviously, you need to have be at the right place at the right time, and being a little bit fortunate. But it all got together, and that I think I ended up where I'm now.
You would have probably spent some time in Perth, I'm guessing, given in the WRC days. That would have been right, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I was in the beginning. I was always in Perth. I think I was there the first time in either it was in the late 80s or latest
Yeah.
in the early 90s. So I have good memories from there. I mean, I haven't been there since maybe the late 90s in Perth. But I was told the city has changed a lot to the better, obviously, not to the worst. But it has changed a lot. It has grown a lot, Perth. So I maybe next time when I come to Australia, I just pop over there, but pop over there when we are on the other side of Australia. It's quite a long trip to Perth.
It's definitely changed, but it doesn't have that amazing event. And that was an amazing event. Do you have any sort of favorite memories from those wonderful years of the WRC in Perth?
Yeah, and no, we always like to go to Perth. My best memories were always out when you go, because I was there for recce and testing when you're out in the outback on the stages. I was always scared of snakes there. Because there is signs everywhere. So yeah, I remember that one very well. And once I was convinced to try to go surfing in the morning. So we went to the beach. I sat there, and I was freezing without going into the water. I gave up before touching the water. I say, I go back in the car because it's too cold for me. When the guys I was with, yeah, we just have to wait for the wave. I was like, I'm done with waiting because I'm frozen through already. So that was my memories of Perth. But no, it was always a good place to go to.
When you made that step from the WRC to Formula One, what was the culture shift like? Like, how different a world was it to go from, those sort of outback stages and all those remote parts of the world to this sort of glitz and glamour of Formula One?
Yeah, I mean, you said the change, the difference there in one sentence. I mean, it was like coming from because in rallying you're out around in the country, you meet other people, you eat in different restaurants every day. In Formula One, the only thing you get is airport, hotel, racetrack. There's very little time to do anything else. And with rallying, there was just not that there was time, but you had to do it because you went around the country to the different stages. So that was very nice. But when I got into F1, it was also something I didn't. It wasn't my career plan. I was asked to go there, and I was fortunate to have Niki Lauda as a mentor, which made my entrance into Formula One a lot easier than going up the ranks. So, but it was just different at the time, and I was up for something new, and I quite enjoyed it. But I enjoyed a lot my time in rallying. I was not looking to go out of rallying; it just came along this Formula One gig.
You've been involved in basically two F1 startups. There was Jaguar and then Haas, and I guess both have been a pretty tough slog. Like, does it just sort of show how hard it is to get up and running at that level of motorsport?
Yeah, Formula One is the toughest thing to get up and running from nowhere. I mean, to get a Haas started 10 years ago, it was difficult then, but I think now it would be even harder to start up. But with Jaguar, I would say sometimes better to start from zero than like with Jaguar. We started from a Stewart GP team, Ford bought Stewart GP, and then it was Jaguar. But for sure, it's very difficult to start an F1 team because there is so many things you have to look after, and the technology is so advanced, and just to find the people, it is not easy.
How does Haas's future look? Can the team succeed? Can you sort of see from your time there the pathway of how they do get to where they would want to be?
I don't know that, Andrew, because obviously I'm not involved in it anymore, and what the plans are, what they plan to do for the future. I think, I mean, I said it before. I maybe left a little bit too late there. Because when I was there was no path for the future. As you're saying, it's just like, what is success? We need also to define success. If success is to become 7th, 8th every year, then I think they can succeed with what we did when I was there. Because as I was saying, I'm not saying what they're doing now because I don't know. If maybe they've got a plan of investment and to go for wins in the next 5 years, that could be, and then they could succeed. But when I left, there was no plan like this in place, and that for me, it was actually good to move on.
The Netflix fame that you had, from Drive to Survive, how unexpected was that for you?
Very unexpected, because I didn't actually, when it came up, the question Netflix, or if we want to participate in this Netflix filming, we actually were not aware of what is going to actually happen. We didn't have a real vision of it. And I think they didn't have. They just wanted to film because nobody knew what was going on behind the scenes. And I think they did a very good job in doing it. And then it came out. So it came very unexpected. And it's one of these things, you're in this position sometimes, and all of a sudden you are recognized or without having contributed actively on it. Yeah, I've done my job, but somebody else did a better job in telling other people what I'm doing.
Do you think that that fame impacted on your future at Haas at all? Was it ever seen as a distraction or anything like that? Or was it sort of welcome attention on the team?
I would say some people saw it as a distraction, while it wasn't actually. But it's one of these things when you see it from outside and don't ask the people which are actually doing it and just come to a conclusion without evidence. It's always the same. So for sure, people thought doing this Netflix thing, it took a lot of time. I think, the only time I spent with Netflix actively out of my normal working schedule when we did the sit-down interviews, but the rest was the sit-down interviews. And in summer, when, for example, I went hiking up the mountain, but I would have done that one anyway, with or without Netflix, so there was no difference. So I think it could be seen as the same with the book. People say, "Oh, you sit there and write in book." No, I did the book with a writer. I didn't write it myself because that would take actually time. But it took about 15, 20 minutes after each race for me. So it's not a lot of time. But obviously, if you don't know, you should be asking, and then we'll get the answer. But it was maybe seen as a distraction, but it wasn't actually.
Did you know that the exit was coming from the team? It feels like when you watch Drive to Survive, the latest season, it feels like it was almost built around it. And some of your comments are almost relevant to something like that. But I guess that stuff can be cut to fit after the fact.
I didn't see that, Andrew, on Netflix, so I cannot say that one. But I think obviously, you don't want to do it, but I was conscious that I actually didn't have, like, this was no point for me to go on, as I said a few times, afterwards. So I think unconsciously it was happening, if I go back now, but not consciously. I was not like, because otherwise I said I don't want to. But I for example, didn't try to get a new contract. I just let it go,
Yeah. Yeah. You mentioned that you were in Adelaide for the Motorsport Festival. I have to ask, what did you think about your ride in the Ford Mustang with James Courtney?
It was pretty cool, but also to get together with James after, I think it was 2002, more than 20 years, and after what happened there, we all know about Monza when he had the crash. It was good to get to just to say hello to him. When we drove in the first day, I said, can we see if James is around? I want to say hello to him. When they told me that he's around the weekend, they said, where is he? So I can say hello to him. And they took me straight to him. He was the first person I met when I got to the festival, and we had a quick chat, but it was like, not 22 years. It was like 22 hours we spoke last. So it was pretty cool. And then going around with him, it was very nice, and then when he was doing the donuts, when he was smoking me out in the car.
Yeah, they do good donuts, supercars. There's absolutely no doubt about that. Let's finish with the Authentic Collectibles Top 10 Shootout. This is just 10 rapid fire questions. As you've probably guessed, Authentic Collectibles produces collectibles. So there's a few questions relating to that area. So first one, who was your sporting idol when you were growing up?
To think here. I would say Niki Lauda, because I was always into motorsport and he was winning championship when I was a kid.
Did you ever collect any motor racing memorabilia, posters or trading cards or anything like that when you were young?
No, I never collected anything, and I still don't. In my house, there is no motorsport memorabilia. Strangely enough.
You don't collect even things from your own career?
No, I've got a few trophies I got, but nothing else.
All right, well, that rules out a couple of questions. Do you collect anything outside of motorsport?
No. I'm a very simple guy, Andrew, I'm very simple.
That's fair enough. What's the ultimate race car, or maybe rally car, I'll add for you as well, that you'd love to own?
I would like to own a Mark 1 Ford Focus, because that was the car which actually I love to do that. That gave me access to big motorsport.
Amazing car. I have very fond memories of watching them skid around the forest in WA as well. Name a team or driver or motorsport personality that you would have loved to have worked with, or you would love to work with. It can be past or present.
Ayrton Senna.
That's a good answer. Do you prefer speaking German or Italian?
At home, German, but it doesn't make a difference, because how I grew up, it doesn't make a difference to me, honestly. Yeah. I'm good with both of them.
German, sort of German/Austrian food or Italian food? Which one do you prefer? Or probably the Tyrolean
Italian
food, I suppose.
Italian food.
Italian, yeah. Okay,
Italian food, yeah.
That makes sense. And last question, do you get sick of people asking you to swear at them?
Yes, but I always answer, I say no, So.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Well, look, thanks for joining us, Gunther, and best of luck for the rest of the year. We'll be back in the next couple of weeks with a new episode of the Hard Card Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to the Authentic Collectibles YouTube channel and hit the little bell to make sure you never miss an episode. Thanks again, Gunther.
Thank you, and thanks for having me, Andrew. Thank you.